NOS4A22, Book 2, Trust No One. Chapter 20, The Welcome Wagon. When they were finished eating all the pie their hearts desired, Mama Baron took the ceramic plate, but let Cammy and Stuart hold on to the water jug and juice pitcher. She knew how thirsty they were, as Cammy and Stuart would drink until they gasped for air, in between their best failed efforts to pace themselves, like children who use all their energy playing. They were strengthening their minds for one last good run before the chemicals ultimately destroyed their last remaining functioning living cells. In this time, Cammy and Stu boosted their remainder of energy and strength, so their telepathic thoughts were quickly relayed to each other in astounding accuracy, along with the waves of time between their shared brain waves. They had a good panic session in between their excitement, relief, and joy. "Oh my God, Stuart, I'm driving myself crazy. I clearly remember these people in a dream, as I had a clear vision looking from afar. I must have had an out-of-body experience while lucidly dreaming under the spell of ritual and chemical enhancement of drugs, but I know I remember these people with other people doing the same things they're doing with us, visiting us with the food, taking us in the Noah's Ark friggin' welcome wagon. This is really freaking me out. These other people I seen in my dreams had our very same experiences, but I blocked out what had happened in the end. I keep telling myself because of the good feelings I remember experiencing in the dreams I had awakened from each time, this must mean that everything went well, but what if it wasn't? What if it isn't? These people can't be trusted, Stu," Cammy pleaded. "I know, Cammy. I never in my life could trust anyone. How you think I'm just gonna start putting my trust in someone right now? It ain't happening." Stuart wasn't letting his guard down. "Thank you. I need this reassurance from you, even if there isn't much we can do. We only really have one option in the end this evening anyway. We are gonna die. I just want to be ready for any other kinds of tricks from deceivers, or any kinds of attacks at all that will keep us from dying the way we need to." Cammy stressed the facts. "I'm actually glad to hear you say all this. We really know what we gotta do, so one way or another, we gotta get someone to kill us. I almost hope these people are bad, or at least one of them is. Well, we know Mr. Mountain Dew Man is most likely not good. Then again, the demons could have directed us and them to meet and be deceived to hurt good people." Stu put another possibility in the equation, stirring up paranoia. "Oh God, why did you have to say that?" Cammy panicked within their shared thoughts of their inner minds. "Because it's a very real possibility. We need to trust no one, yet be ready for anything because so many possibilities and scenarios are on the table here, and not just hypothetically, but the way the demons, Lamb, the gatekeeper, and the keeper of time all work together. Hell, they can manipulate our reality however they see fit, and anyone else's when it comes down to it. You know damn well as I do that evil had a hold on this world. The devil's got a hold of it." Stu looked seriously in Cammy's eyes as they were about to go walking into the woods from where the barren crowd came from. "I just know these things happened before, not just because I feel it, not just because I sense it, because I saw it." Cammy made sure the seriousness and severity of the situation was direly expressed before they went further. "Don't be shy now. We got the welcome wagon waiting just a ways behind these thick pines here. Then you can continue resting. Mama Baron gestured a waving motion 10 times while she spoke. How exciting! This is really exciting. I've never ridden in a horse-drawn carriage before, especially a giant one. Cammy did her best to snap out of her paranoia-infused panic so she could appear to be nothing but thankful, as she really truly was thankful. That's the spirit. You're gonna love it, I think. Papa Baron gave a jump and a hand clap as his left foot raised a second before his right one lifted a second after, like a hillbilly square dance maestro calling the moves. The walk wasn't far, just like they said. Cammy and Stu didn't doubt it, and were thankful this was no trick, so it seemed. So far, so good. All right, here we are, all aboard the welcome wagon, Papa Baron exclaimed with glee. We got dates and nuts on board, with plenty more juice and water. Mama Baron made sure to tell them about the snacks and beverages waiting for them. Go ahead and sit up front where the big pillow seat section is. It's the most comfortable area for you, our guests. Papa Baron patted Stewart on his behind as he hopped up in the back entrance of the covered wagon, following Cammy as she already got in and went walking to the front where they were instructed to go. This is amazing. It's magical. I don't think there's anything like it. Cammy looked back as she briefly stopped to turn around, look behind her, and tell Stewart out loud so everyone could hear. You're right. I do believe there's nothing like the Baron welcome wagon. If there is, I sure would like to see it, Papa Baron exclaimed with an exuberant amount of energy for an old man. There were many linens hanging in intricate patterns that crossed over and through each fabric to a point of hypnotization. Cammy and Stu were enthralled. There had to be at least 100 large blanket-sized silk pieces on each side, just at the top, that were arranged in an overlapping patternicity, bowing slightly in the middle center of each piece of painstakingly woven design that had to have taken years to handcraft and be sewn. Each one hanging from the top of each side from the left and right told a story of lands forgotten and of people long gone, tales of enriched lives that passed down lost traditions that once held great meaning, and so they were foretold. Stewart and Cammy looked each piece over, looking for some kind of evil satanic symbol, or anything at all that resembled the strange things they would recognize from Cammy's old satanic mansion home. In the end, they didn't find a thing. Each piece of fabric was innocent, free of evil projection. Then they thought that would be exactly how Lamb would want it, so they would feel comfortable. Cammy had it cross her mind that Lamb would most likely want them to fall asleep on this wagon, so that they would die naturally in their sleep. She didn't feel at the moment that she was going to die. Neither did Stu. They were too comfortable, and this was the thought they didn't like having that bothered them while on that wagon ride. Of course, they were thinking too much, but at the same time, they knew there wasn't such a thing that really applied to them on this, their final day. So Stu followed Cammy to the back of the enormous wagon as they took a long time seeming to admire the hanging fabrics, as they did, only much more as they carefully examined and studied them, straining their overworked minds to see any resemblance of the things they remembered from Cammy's childhood home. Those strange symbols that looked almost like old Aramaic Hebrew mixed with Sumerian or Sumerian text, along with Egyptian hieroglyph style, as well as old indigenous ancient American tribe style. They saw none of it. No symbols with horned creatures resembling demons. Only wonderful and beautiful woven patterns that had great detail of landscapes of a lost time. So beautiful, so lush with greenery, many colored fruits, and flowers of every sort. A paradise, like a lost Eden. On a few of the long blanket-sized silk hanging blankets were portraits of the Barron family from many generations back in time, woven in exhaustive detail that almost seemed to be like a most expensive old painting. This appeared to be even more impressive than any painting you could possibly set your eyes upon. The embroidery was thick and rich. The hands that crafted these pieces were more priceless than the most advanced computer chip machinery equipped with the smartest software technology money could buy. The weavers were a priceless asset and commodity, these barren women, who mostly worked at night until the early morning, who slept in the odd hours during the day while the men worked. For the life of them, Cammy and Stewart couldn't remember any of these people's names. As far as they were concerned, it was enough to remember Mama and Papa Barron. All the rest they thought they could get away with communicating with them without addressing any of them by their names. Oh, if it were so easy. If it were only that easy. Matthew, the one they called Critter, eventually ruined that for them, which was an illusion of peace and comfort. The others became angry with Critter, though, after he pressed Cammy and Stu, feeling insulted that they couldn't remember his real name. Yet Stu strained his brain to remember the silly nickname Critter. Cammy thought it to be suspicious that all the other barons became so agitated by Matthew's aggressive reaction, along with his what seemed to be offended stance in the matter concerning his forgotten real name. Mostly everyone, not just Cammy and Stu, were shocked by Matthew's outburst of raw emotion. Something was off, way off. Why were all the barons acting like they couldn't stand Critter's reaction? What reason, as not a one had laid down any defense or even so much as show pity towards Matthew's obviously broken heart? There was no making sense of anything. Cammy and Stu were in no condition to righteously judge them or anyone in these times. They could never do such a thing as be a judge of character at any point in their lives. There were only a few simple occurrences that led up to such an extreme trigger release. Why now, on their last day alive, did so much begin to change so much? Cammy and Stu knew the experiences they were having on these last 3 days of being alive in the flesh were holding the answers, while at the same time the explosion of wisdom they had been subjected to was like being hit with a shockwave burst that is moving quick, yet at the same time the sonic assault is carrying weight that overwhelms, crushes, and destroys with the same breath of power from the unseen hand. Soon as Cammy laid down on the huge pillows, she laid back to study the enormous tent-like roof in all its glory and fascinating construction. Stewart looked down at her with a loving smile he could not contain, while removing his hands from under his armpits, uncrossing his arms to plop down beside her. Stewart first sat his butt down, cozied right up next beside her, and put his forearms over his knees, once again crossing his arms, only in this different sitting pose. Only for a second did he do this, as he was moving quick before he tried to relax. Stu moved his left hand quick as a kung fu master, and then ever so slowly caressed Cammie's back in a gentle stroke, beginning with her shoulders and under her long dark hair down to the small of her back, going back up to the shoulders before he could go down too far and become too excited. As Cammie found the dried fruits and nuts, which were perfectly delicious, Stewart found the canister of juice to fill the pitchers and jugs. They only ate for about 10 minutes when they saw the carpet underneath the cushions. There was a pentagram under the huge pillows. They just knew it, because one pointed corner was protruding out from under the covers and pillows where they lay. Matthew came over to Cammie and Stewart, explaining what this was on the carpet underneath them, after he saw that they were visibly shaken and upset. Is something wrong? Come on now. Don't worry none. What you see under there is not a bad thing. This is an old symbol to keep away evil. Many old mountain people believed in these things. You trust me, don't you? Matthew looked at Cammie and Stu with a serious glare. It was just a little shocking. Sorry, I forgot your name. Stewart tried to answer quickly to defend Cammie, who was a little frozen, paralyzed in her traumatizing fear. Come on now. I know you didn't forget my animal name. Maybe you don't know my real name, since I got that nickname. But I bet if you think for a sec, it'll come to you. Come on, Phantom of the Opera. There, I give you a nickname too, you masked freak. Fucking weirdo. Matthew instigated as he escalated like a man possessed, making them wonder. Critter, you're Critter. Sorry, Critter. Let me show you my face. If you couldn't guess, I am disfigured. This is why I hide under a big hat and this mask. It is better than having to be stared at. I know I'm a freak weirdo, as you said. Want to see? Stewart just about pulled his mask off when Cammie interfered and quickly put her hand tight over Stu's forearm to stop him. This infuriated Critter, and he became really nasty. This is when things got bad for a minute, when Matthew Critter began yelling, making a scene, soon as the wagon began to move. Let's see his face. I got to see it now. Critter, what's wrong with you, boy? Papa Baron yelled from the top as he turned to look down through the curtains as he handed over the reins to Mama. They disrespected me 2 times right now, one after the other. I think they're trying to be funny. Is that it? You think you're funny? Critter instigated them after looking up at his father to justify his negligent, careless actions. You show them some respect, Critter. Go to the back and sit your reckless ass down before you hurt yourself. Papa Baron shut the open curtain at the top above them in haste. Matthew had no idea how dangerous Cammie and Stewart were, it seemed. Maybe these people really were just people after all. This thought almost soothed them. Even still, Cammie and Stu were cautious and didn't let anything slip out of the realm of possibility within their minds concerning what to expect. As far as they were concerned, no one could be trusted, ever, until their spirits left their bodies, and they could see all for what they are. So much pain was involved in this interaction. that Critter moaned as he let out a crackled cry while he obeyed his papa. Critter shuffled his feet as they dragged along the wagon floor. His shoes were old leather, and they squeaked just enough for Cammy and Stu to notice. Everyone looked at Critter with a big-eyed expression like they had cold water dumped over their whole bodies, and the chill had went down their backs, down from their neck. I can't take this feeling, Cammy. I know we're reliving experiences, and the terror I feel from this is overwhelming. The dread has consumed me. It's like our lives have been overlapped by other lives from another time, the same as the extra-dimensional layers have overlapped each other in the unseen realms that coexist simultaneously. These curtain layers of this welcome wagon's like a reminder. These overlapping layers of lives once lived. Times long forgotten, but there are these pictures along with the overlapping layers that remain, one over the other. How profound is this shit? Holy fuck. Cammy became intensely fascinated with these parallels. Cammy, you're a genius. This is such an amazing observation you've made between these relatable subjects. I didn't realize until you helped me put it all together. You really are my other half. I love you so damn much, Stu said as he couldn't help but kiss her as intimately and as passionately as two people could ever kiss, losing himself in the moment, and it made her lay back as he did the same. They were both absolutely lost in the moment, and one of the younger children up front, whom they didn't catch with their open eyes to see, had pulled the curtain to give them privacy. They embraced each other tightly for this ride, which was over so quickly they couldn't believe it. Stu had dozed off along with Cammy asleep on his chest, but only for a moment. They jumped out of their fleeting nap from a realistic nightmare. The enormous wagon had been thrown off of a cliff by a gigantic bull-horned demon man. Jumping out of their sleep, the curtain was opened quickly by one of the kids, and there were several boys and girls behind, laughing and smiling with childish gawking, bashfully and sweetly in an admiring way. Cammy sat up quickly, while Stuart raised himself to sit up very slowly and groggily. They were so thankful to not have died this way, then realized they wished it was true, because then they would have escaped the second death of the eternal burning lake of fire. How funny, they thought, their perception could change and their entire mindset by knowing the two fates that potentially awaited them. This now only made their minds wander more to think of the what-ifs. What if they become wandering lost souls after escaping the second death? This was a very real possibility before they could think of ever being allowed in paradise after death.